Kevin Boucher, who's really the producer of all this, to have. I want to introduce to you the former CEO of Disney, the co-CEO of the World Economic Forum, the founder of Lee Shack, and the first chair of the Hope Global Forum's Philippe Bourguignon.
Well, thank you, Vance. It's a real pleasure to connect or reconnect with you all today. The last time I had an opportunity to talk to this community was before COVID, so it's already some time ago. Much has changed since then for all of us, and for me personally, as I returned recently to France after 2 decades in the United States, in Washington, as partner of Steve Case in Revolution. It has been quite a transformation, both professionally and personally. I wished I could be in person today, but I was, until yesterday, a part of a forum which I'm going to tell you about in France. Throughout those years, I remained closely connected with my friends, John Bryant, Kevin Boucher, and a number of people at Operation Hope and the Hope Global Forum. I'm therefore particularly pleased to join you today and share with you a new partnership that the 3 of us have recently established between the Hope Global Forum and the Forum Économique des Banlieues, in French, which in many ways can be seen as the modest French equivalent of the Hope Global Forum. My personal commitment to inclusion is unchanged. This is precisely why I decided to join Aziz Tena, the founder of the French Forum, and Jacques Attali, the founder of an NGO called Positive, in their efforts to strengthen social and economic integration in France. The Forum Économique des Banlieues aims to enhance the participation of underprivileged neighborhoods in the broader national economic system. In parallel, Positive seeks to provide young people from these communities with the knowledge, network, and resources necessary to start and grow their own business, regardless of their background or personal circumstances. Many of you will recognize in these objectives the spirit and mission of the Hope Global Forum and Operation Hope. It was John Bryant who first opened my eyes to the power of economic inclusion as a means to restore dignity. I am now eager to apply these lessons to the French context. The partnership between the Hope Global Forum and the Forum Économique des Banlieues for the future has a dual ambition: reconnect companies, policymakers, cities, suburban communities, and foster stronger ties between the US and the French ecosystem, committed to inclusive capitalism and local development. Ultimately, this partnership seeks to generate meaningful international connections and collaborative initiatives on issues that concern both France, Europe, and the United States, with joint announcements at our respective forums to amplify their visibility and impact. I am really convinced that by working together across borders and across social divides, we can reimagine economic opportunity as a shared human endeavor. My convictions are unchanged from what I learned with all of you here over my years active at the forum. Therefore, I would like to share with you the key elements of the speech I made at the forum in Paris last week. The subject was connection. I will start with one quote from a writer I like very much, Milan Kundera, which, by the way, have used like 10 or 12 years ago at the Operation Hope for Milan Kundera. Stupidity comes from having an answer to everything. So I will give you a disclaimer. I do not pretend to have an answer to everything. Definitely not. This being said, some of my statements, some of the comments I'm going to make now, some proposals may sound naive, provocative, or even aggressive. They are. But I want to be provocative because that's how ideas move forward. And I will also tell you one or two personal stories to illustrate the theories. So my first personal story is that a very long time ago, when I was young, at the end of my master in economics, I became an intern in a company based in Dayton, Ohio, in the US, obviously. It was a very successful company in that city. Everything from the library to some of the schools and many social programs, cultural programs, sport programs, library, social housing, and so on, were originated or supported by that company. It was amazing. The CEO and the management of the company were not just part of the community, they were creating the community. At that time, what we call the connection was directly with the community. Today, it is through corporate social responsibility. That's pretty good, but not the same, unless you do it with the Hope for Global Forum. A number of years later, I had a meeting on the 35th floor of an office tower in New York. And I discovered that, in fact, it was with the same company where I was an intern, but that company had merged with another one. The two combined were sold to another third one, which was sold to a fourth one, and it became a huge organization, disconnected. That company was now far removed from the community it helped create, and the city is no longer the same. I've been back in Dayton, Ohio. It's not the same as when I was an intern. How did this happen? I think that there are two main reasons why there is this disconnection. What I call the tyranny of brands and globalization. Brand first. Marketers have pushed companies to place the brand above everything else. Today, for many companies, the brand dictates decisions, not the customer, not the employees. Most decisions are made to serve the brand. Marketing should be just the opposite. The brand should reflect who you are, not define who you are. At the same time, companies in the pursuit of critical mass grow worldwide, and products become more impersonal to be able to reach everybody. And customers, as a consequence, become less loyal. To retain them, companies introduce discounts, like Black Friday, reducing profit margins. Then they launch expensive loyalty programs. To finance both those programs, they become cost killers. Suppliers keep changing, and the philosophy, my employees are my greatest asset, is replaced by, I have the best procurement system. In other words, companies become unfaithful to their suppliers and sometimes their own employees. That's the paradox of loyalty. How can you expect your customers to be loyal when you are not loyal to your employees and to your communities? It brings me to the second reason, which is globalization. Globalization had a huge positive effect worldwide, lifting millions of people out of poverty and creating millions of jobs worldwide. Not everywhere, by the way, including not always in the US, not always in Europe. But while these global companies became multinational and part of the global community, they grew detached from their local communities. In summary, being bigger does not mean being better. You grow because you are better. You don't become better because you are bigger. Artificial brands created at a global scale rather than authentic brands that embody real human connections have disconnected companies from their customers, their employees, and their communities. I am very convinced that a company that serves its community, its employees, its customers, is or will be more profitable than one that serves the market before serving people. That's what reconnection means. Let's now turn to politics. Today, it is difficult for a political leader, as well as for a business leader, by the way, to master their issues and their decision-making. To illustrate, some years ago, when I was much younger, if you were a politician or a business leader, you were kind of driving a car. The car was being driven safely along a quiet road. The driver was looking at the horizons, checking the rear view mirror once in a while, with quiet passengers in the car. Today, they are at the wheel of a racing car. They must still look at the horizon while keeping an eye in the rear view mirror, but in the back seat. On the left side, you have voters or customers, depending if it's a politician or a CEO. And the voters or customers tell them where to go. On the other back seat, the political party where the politician belongs, or the shareholders, tell them when to change gears and even try to change gears on their behalf themselves. And in the front seat, you have a journalist which watch everything and judge freely. This is complex but manageable. But in addition, what makes it real difficult is that today, there are no more signs on the side of the road. And sometimes you don't even know whether you should drive on the right or on the left. Back to a personal experience. It was in Davos when I was managing director and co-CEO of the World Economic Forum. And there was a session with President Bill Clinton, who was speaking about reconnection in politics. The person who made the introduction began by referring to a Nobel laureate prize, James Buchanan, who wrote a book in 1962 in which he developed a theory called the public choice theory. And he argued that politicians in democracies often act not in the public interest, but in their own interest, making unrealistic promises and naturally increasing public spending and debt to seduce voters. But Bill Clinton explained that this was not always true because over time, many politicians evolve into leaders who transcend politics and change their countries. The defining characteristic is their willingness to listen and work with people who disagree with them. Transformational leaders are both radical and pragmatic, and they reject the politician instinct that the opposing side is so wrong that it doesn't deserve to be heard. That's how they become statesmen. Our countries suffer from those silos. Universities, politics, entrepreneurs, social leaders, institutions are all operating in silos. This hurts development, it blocks talent, slows investment, and prevents the emergence of tomorrow companies, particularly in the complex neighborhoods. When those worlds connect, when you connect educators, researchers, companies, policymakers, and others, you create an environment that gives young entrepreneurs the resources they need. In short, companies have been part of the problem. They must now be part of the solution. So must politicians and governments. In fact, they should work together, or even beginning have chosen to get involved in initiatives that break those silos, and why I decided to get involved in Operation Hope and the Hope Global Forum, as this is what this forum you are participating in does, thanks to John Bryant. And this is why also I decided to get involved in the Forum Économique des Banlieues in France and Positive. French suburbs have huge growth potential, just like US suburbs. Same thing in France. So now it's time to conclude. I've been very lucky in my life that the combination of two opportunities. One, encounter amazing people. And I say encounter because very often it's a coincidence or it's a hazard. And also, I've been very lucky to live very defining moments. So I want to tell you that one encounter which has marked me is meeting John Bryant. And one moment in my life, one of those defining moments was the first Hope Global Forum I participated in. So I hope that this forum, for all of you who already came, as well as for you who came for the first time, will be a moment for you. And that at the end of the forum later today, you will be reconnected with the rest of the world. Thanks so much.
I'm a Queen of Fame. I'm a part of the One MBB initiative
Yes.
and also the Credit Money Management Program. And Teresa Tumber is my coach. I'm the founder of Drivable. We're an inclusive ride share or car share company. So we provide accessible vehicles for people with disabilities and limited mobility to have on-demand rides. My coach, I know I cannot sing her praises enough. I feel like she has gone above and beyond. She's provided so many just resources for me to resources and just guidance, things I didn't know. I mean, I came to her and I had an idea, and I thought I had some, I was taking some steps. She just kind of showed me, she took the steps I did take and she grew that. She showed me how my personal credit impacted my business, the funding aspect of it, the resources with like the partnership with Fulton Bank, and having Dr. Sherrod there and just, with his guidance and being able to just kind of touch him, talk to him and say, hey, what is my business plan need to look like? Even a business plan in itself. I'm not lying. I never thought I would have been able to do a business plan. I, in fact, never did one. I've never done a business plan before because it just, it's daunting. You look at people's business plan and you see like 50 pages and I'm like, there's no way. So I never even tried, Miss Teresa is no nonsense, and if you follow her steps and with her guidance, you will get a business plan done. My business plan ended up being 30 pages. I would have never guessed that, I would have had that. And now when I, interact with other organizations, other, CEOs and founders and businesses, and I have my documents right in front of me, that's the first thing they see. It makes a great impression and they know I'm serious. So, I mean, those are just a couple of the things, but it's been so many different things. I've been sending people to you guys, sending people to Operation Hope and sending people to her specifically because I see the passion in her, and just her experience, and she already did it before. So the coaching coming from someone who has been there where I am, and also just her believing in me is just super impactful. Even when I felt like I failed, I was able to just reach out, say, hey, this is what I have going on. She pat me on the back. Okay, you get back up now. It's time to, get back out there and do what you gotta do. So and I'm very thankful. Honestly, I'm very optimistic about the outlook of Black business. I feel like with Operation Hope and people like Miss Teresa, I really see us having those resources and then being able to not only use them for ourselves, but share with others, share what we've learned. I've been able to do that myself at least 3 times. So if, hopefully, with people like her planting those seeds within us, we can also do the same, plant the seeds in other people or refer, the resources there are amazing. I can't say, I just, you know, I feel like there's a lot of hope for success in our community.
My name is Brooke Ratliff, and I am a small business coach with Operation Hope here in the Detroit area, thanks to my funder, Fifth Third Bank. My background is small business accounting and tax. I did that for 15 years. Worked a little bit with the IRS. And then I wanted to put those skills into practice in a way that I could just feel really good and celebrate with people. This is Roller Skate Detroit. And just being able to walk with a client, you know, down the path of becoming an entrepreneur, checking all the boxes, getting his business plan together, and shopping for his space and actually having a grand opening. It's just been a great experience, and he's just going to keep going. I met him as my roller skate instructor. Like, he taught me how to skate. He was talking about, you know, his dreams and his goals. And, you know, he signed up for my business development class. And at one point, it just kind of clicked in his head. And he just said, I'm going to go for it. I will tell you the three things all my really successful clients have. Like basic financial security. They got a roof over their head and food in the fridge. They have support from friends and family. He's had that. They have a basis of real skill and expertise in the business that they're going to start. He's had that. And the third thing is, because they've got the skills and expertise and experience, they know how to scale. They can make it smaller, they can make it bigger. You know, Keith started teaching where there was space available, and that created the business. So the space that we're in now, that was just part of the scaling. That was just part of the expansion. What I am most optimistic about are my MVP clients who are intelligent and hardworking and educated, who've got that basis of skill and expertise related to their business, that they're going to move forward. It's a long game, but they're going to play it. And there's going to be one grand opening and one ribbon cutting after another in the next 5 years.
Please welcome to the stage award-winning journalist, local legend, Donna Lowry.
Good morning, everyone. How's your energy? Because you need to be excited. We have such a wonderful rest of the morning for you, and we're going to talk about a topic everyone in this room cares about, and that is artificial intelligence. We're going to talk about AI. We've got some of the most important global leaders in AI conversation for you today. So please join me in welcoming from Mountain View, California, the President and Chief Investment Officer for Google, Ruth Porat, and from the United Arab Emirates, the ever Minister for AI in the world, the Minister of State for Artificial Intelligence, His Excellency Omar Sultan Al Olama. And right here with us in Atlanta, please join me in welcoming the fabulous Mr. Van Jones.
All right, I am excited. This is my favorite topic in the world, artificial intelligence. And we're now going to get a chance to talk to two of the heavyweights. Google, obviously, a powerhouse in this space, growing every day, but also states matter, governments matter. And the UAE has the first ever minister of AI. 10 years ago, that would have seemed like science fiction. That's now science fact. So what we're going to try to get out of this conversation with, these are like literally two of the giants in this field. And give it up to John Hope Bryant for giving us the best people in the world to talk to and to learn from. I want to start with Ruth. Listen, part of the, there's a hope AI is going to give us heaven on earth, and then there's this fear is going to give us hell on earth. And somewhere in the middle is the truth. And I just love to hear from you. What do you see as the actual practical next 5-10 years of both progress and peril for AI? Just give us your overall statement about where you see the opportunity and where you see the peril.
Well, first, it's great to be with you as always, and Rex, it's really wonderful to see you again. So there are a number of areas that excite us about the upside from AI. There's the economic upside in the US. It's estimated to be $4 trillion if we see this adopted across businesses, small and large, and government. It's the opportunity to improve delivery of education, of healthcare, to advance science. But I think if you want just the short, what do I think of when I think about the opportunity with AI? It is that the art of the possible has changed. And the place that hits me most deeply and that I get most excited about is what it means for all of us with respect to health. Because that does affect every one of us, our children, our siblings, our parents, ourselves. And the art of the possible is completely changed. So as I'm a 2-time cancer survivor, which is probably why I keep anchoring back to this. And so I always turn to my health and say, test everything out with him. The first area is early diagnosis of disease can be the difference between survival and not. And with AI, you can augment, support, fortify the radiologist. My oncologist has said the only way to democratize that early detection is with AI. The second is there are not enough nurses and doctors across America, around the globe. We can save 30 to 50% of their time with AI, freeing them up from the administrative so they can do what we want, which is focus on the patient. That's what they want. That's what we want. We can empower everyone with, and we are. These are not like, to your point, science fiction in the future. This is here now. We are empowering people with more information. And so again, my oncologist says that means doctors have to be at the top of their game because we as patients are better informed. And then the most exciting is it is realistic to say with the advances in science that we will cure diseases in our lifetime. I'm privileged to work with someone who won the Nobel Prize for something that is described as the biggest contribution to drug discovery in our lifetime. It's called AlphaFold. We can cure cancer in our lifetime. That is not out of our reach. So that's what I get excited about. And much of it is here and now. It's here now. And then more to come.
Well, look, first of all, that's exciting. You should applaud. When somebody says we're going to cure disease, but folks are scared. Folks feel like, there's bad things coming. People are scared they're going to get pushed out of jobs. What do you say to the people who are concerned? I think in our community, sometimes we're threat sensitive, even before we're opportunity sensitive. And we're all friends here. We're speaking among ourselves. Where do you see some threats and some challenges that people should be aware of and begin to prepare for as we shift into a new age? New positive possibilities, also maybe some perils. How do you look at the peril side of it?
Yeah, that's such an important question. I really like the way you framed it. Threat sensitive more than opportunity sensitive. So at Google, when we talk about AI, any technology that has potential to have this kind of impact, we want to be bold and responsible. We want to help people capture the upside and protect from that downside. And you're 100% right. There's downside risk. I think the one that most people are concerned about is what does it mean for me, with my job, for my family, my ability to provide? Where do I go with this? And I think a couple of data points, because I keep going back to history. 85% of economic growth throughout history is attributable to technology. 60% of the jobs that exist today did not exist 80 years ago. They have always evolved. And throughout change, more jobs have been created than destroyed, which is absolutely not helpful if you're the person whose job is eliminated. And so I think the couple of elements, when we look at what that means, first and foremost, going to the heart of your question, jobs will evolve. They will change. They have throughout history. We each need to get as fluent as possible with AI. And the beauty of it is that the magic is done by the computer scientists. Like, many people are using AI today and don't even see where they are. In search, you're using it. You can play with it to support creating better art, history, like pulling from the content that's available. It's when you go travel and it's Google Translate, that's using AI. So there are places that we're using, but the magic is actually under the hood. And so what we have done, and John O'Brien has done so much on this, we focused on skilling and training and giving people the confidence and the fluency. We created something called an AI Opportunity Fund. We've done digital skills training so you can get certified in areas like cybersecurity or data analytics, and literally have in a 3 to 6 month period the proficiency that's needed so you can evolve with jobs as they evolve. So that's point number one. Point number two, many jobs actually are augmented by AI, not replaced by AI. They make you stronger. It's like having a coach. And so it's not necessarily about finding new roles. It's about having the skills to operate at the highest level, just like when I started in my career.
I think it's so good. So just say again, there's the fund is an AI Opportunity Fund. Is that correct? Did I get that right?
AI Opportunity Fund.
How does that work?
To train. So if you just
how do I get in?
So Google, just go ahead and Google. You can get online training. We also have the Grow with Google skilling, so you can actually learn specific areas. Google it, you will find it, and we're providing it so individuals can do it. We're working through local organizations.
See, this is
important. Really important to get out to full communities.
Yeah. It's important because, listen, when you're a delegate, when John O'Brien lets you be a delegate here, you're an ambassador. So a lot of this information is not getting out to people. And so, there are resources that are available to us to not just not get left behind, but to leapfrog and to lead. And Google's making that available. So give a round of applause to Ruth. Now,
thank you for that. If I may, just one point, because it's so important. Each of us can learn this easily. And that's what you'll find. And what I have found when people go through training programs is it's not just the skill that they get through what we call AI Essentials, and Google that, but it's the confidence that actually this is doable for each one of us. Yeah. And that's why we're really proud to work through so many local organizations that can reach out to their community so that everyone has access to the training.
Oh, that's awesome. And by the way, I'm with the organization dreammachine.org. If you can apply for my group. Okay, look, I got low self-esteem. Y'all got to encourage me now. Look. So that's it. Thank you. So dreammachine.org is also a place where you can get in line for some tremendous educational resources. Now, I am actually jealous of our next guest. Before you, sir, I had the coolest job in government as far as I'm concerned. I was a special advisor for green jobs to Barack Obama. That's a good job. That's a cool job. But I think now you have the coolest job in government ever, to be the first minister of AI. Now, this is extraordinary. First of all, how'd you get this job? No, I'm just joking. That's on Wikipedia. You can get that. Why is the UAE moving so aggressively to put government in alignment with this? And what are you doing to make sure that as you guys scale up, you're also scaling up your people? Because you're setting a precedent for every government on earth. And that's why John wanted you here. Why are you focused on this, and how are you using this to bring the people who might be left out into the conversation?
Thank you very much for that. And in all honesty, I don't think you should be jealous. Try to be jealous after I retire in this job. One's doing a good job until the very end. I've been in this position since the year 3 BC, so 3 years before COVID in 2017. And it feels like a few millennia. It feels like there's a few lifetimes that have passed. Now, when it comes to the UAE's ambition on this, and this brings me back to hope, our region used to export science, technology, culture, and had the broadest and biggest economy in the world at one point of time. So for over 600 years, the Middle East was the most advanced part of the world. And something changed. And what changed is a lesson for all of us. We focused at one point of time at actually embracing technology and using it. And in the year 1455, there was a technology that was invented that had the opportunity to change the world. Every single civilization embraced it. The only civilization that banned it was the Middle Eastern civilization, which was the printing press. When the whole world had access to knowledge, we were the only region where, unfortunately, you had to get on a horse or a camel for multiple weeks to be able to access knowledge. And that completely changed our region. We went from being the most advanced part of the world to being one of the most, unfortunately, underdeveloped parts of the world. With AI, we believe the opportunity is going to be as big. It's going to help countries leapfrog. It's going to help nations either have access to the future or be backwards. And we want to be one of the countries that leads the future. Now, when it comes to what we've done, if you look at the UAE, we're a country of around 10 million people. We've already done programs to train 1 million how to become super users of artificial intelligence. So that's 10% of our population by the end of next year. And we're actually not going to stop until every single person in this country, be it rich or poor, be it a citizen or a non-citizen, become a super user of this technology and is able to create using this tool to change the world.
That's awesome. Look, I love the vision. I love how inclusive it is. You said citizens and non-citizens. It sounds like you feel like everybody counts and everybody matters. Imagine that. Government that feels like everybody counts and everybody matters. I like that. But, to your point, you're representing, folks who may have felt left behind in the last century, the last several decades. There's a hunger to catch up. And yet there has to be actual programs and things that governments can do. And we need to learn from you. Sometimes in the United States, we think we have to teach everybody. We need to be learning from folks. What are some of the concrete things that you're doing that you think will be helpful to the companies and to the people? Concrete steps from your government.
Excellent. So I'm going to give you maybe a few very broad things that have worked for us. And maybe later we can talk about the things that didn't work for us. And it's good to be transparent about these things because it's always good for people to learn from each other. The first thing is, in most countries, there is no one leading the conversation when it comes to artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence isn't coming, it's already here. Artificial intelligence is the most addictive technology we've ever invented. It's more addictive than anything else, and that's why you can't let go of your phone. That's why you use it to get all of the information that you want to get. That's why you use it for everything, right? It knows more about you than your loved ones, and it's the most fundamental technology that has shaped our lives over the last decade or so. Why aren't governments doing anything about it? In the last 200 years, every single time a technology has reshaped the world, there was a ministerial portfolio that was created for it. When we were living off coal and wood fire, there wasn't a single minister of energy. But when electricity became so important for governments to deliver the promise of prosperity to their people, ministers of energy and secretaries of energy were introduced across all governments around the world. The same is true for ministers of aviation, ministers of ICT, ministers of telecommunications. With every single technological leap, there was a ministerial portfolio that was created. Why aren't we doing that for artificial intelligence? It doesn't make sense. It's already here. It's not coming. Now, what we've done, first and foremost, is we have a chief AI officer in every single government department across the government. These guys are the orchestra. They ensure that every single department understands the overall vision of AI, and one deployment does not harm people across other sectors. So let me give you an example. If you look at AI for healthcare, if I deploy AI for healthcare, but that increases your insurance premiums, it's actually a bad thing. Even though AI for healthcare is excellent, the fact that you need to be paying more because the insurance companies are being able to use these tools to identify if you have any challenges when it comes to paying your premiums or living a long and healthy life, that's a challenge when it comes to government deployment of AI. So this orchestra ensures that the main focus of AI is improving quality of life. Our ambition from this is AI for quality of life improvement. The second initiative we did, we don't shy away from big, bold initiatives. So we have an initiative called 1 million AI prompters, which is training 1 million people how to become super prompters of AI and wielding this tool to reshape their lives in whatever sector that they want to use it for. And there is no prerequisite to joining this program. You just sign up and you have access to it. The third thing we did was every single time someone comes to you, they will tell you that they're working on the greatest AI tool. And one thing that you can see, if you go to LinkedIn today, whether someone's a truck driver or someone's a consultant, the skill sets always say AI. Everyone thinks that AI is the hottest thing, so they add it to their CVs. They claim that it's a thing that they're using. So as a government, we launched a program called the AI Seal. We actually assess different use cases of AI, and we give them rankings. So any company, any government department that wants to use the tool understands, first, is it good for society to use this tool? Second, is it built credibly on an AI foundation? And third, is it something that is built in the UAE or abroad? And it's perfectly fine if it's built abroad, but it increases transparency. Yeah. And then finally, we have AI actually deployed as a key curriculum within our schooling system. So kids from kindergarten to grade 12 all learn about artificial intelligence, what AI is going to do for them, how they're going to become users of this technology, and the ethics related to AI.
Listen, that's really extraordinary because, it's such a compliment to what Ruth was talking about. So this is something we got to be careful about. AI will give doctors the ability to target disease with clear, sharp precision. But it could also give insurance companies the power to target people with those diseases with higher premiums. Now, see, I hadn't thought about that. That's why we need government to be in here trying to figure out how to make sure this has a net positive benefit. Because if you now know what the disease is, but your insurance premium goes through the roof, that doesn't help you. And so this is what I'm saying. We have to start learning from what other folks are doing. The other thing I think is important. You are correct. Everybody now is an AI expert. There needs to be some kind of a standard where, we have some kind of understanding about, as employers, who can actually do what. That's something you got to step forward on. And then obviously letting the young people know. So look, we have about 10 minutes left and I got 30 questions. I was so transfixed by what you guys are talking about. It's so good to talk to people who actually have the power. So I just want to go back to you, Ruth. I have a kind of a weird question. This is not going to help anybody in here, but but John asked me to do this, so I'm going to use my privileges. I'm concerned about people who don't speak English, who don't speak all the major languages. Half the world speaks languages that are not on a Google necessarily. If you're really going to uplift the whole world, and Google has the power to do it, how are you going to include people whose languages are not even being spoken, people who are indigenous people who are, there's a lot of people who could be left behind just because it's not even on the keyboard. How do you think about that?
I love your question. It is so core to the way Google has thought about this for many, many years. You're 100% right. I was brought up, my parents always said, education is a passport for life. And to be able to access information in your native tongue, in your language, is so valuable. We started translating providing Google Translate 20 years ago. In fact, the first language His Excellency and I spoke about was Arabic. For 20 years, we've been working on this. With AI, we've been able to increase the number of languages. It's almost like a vertical lift. the ease with which we can do it. So we now translate in 250 languages. We have a goal to provide in 1,000 languages. We're still working at it. We have Google is available in 16 Arabic dialects, because you're correct. And I will tell you a story that really struck me. I was speaking with the digital minister in Togo, an extraordinary woman, Sina Lawson. She made 2 points that really hit very much to your question and underscore the imperative about it. She said in Togo, there are 3 official languages. And there was a time where you had to learn French before you could learn math. Talk about putting an obstacle to learning. But now with Google Translate, that is no longer the case. The other point, which is a bit off of your topic, but I think builds on it, is that she made this point as well. The median age in Africa across the continent is 19 years old. Her point was, you can't have enough teachers to educate half of the entire continent, but with AI you can.
Wow.
So it's presenting in language and then
Good.
giving
That's
access to learning, going on that journey. Students can use AI, but you can also augment teachers. So I think what you've said is so important, and it is very core to our view that this has to be, as His Excellency said, we need to be designing and thinking about it so that it opens doors for everyone while recognizing the problems that you appropriately tagged as like, let's prevent the downside.
And I want to go.
250 languages.
Look, I didn't realize that you're already doing 1,000. You guys are way ahead, which is inspiring. Again, people don't know stuff, and that's the reason why here we can go out and let people know. And then, back to you. I am curious. There are going to be people who are watching this from other countries, not just the United States, and they may not have the resources that you have in the Middle East. They may be in Africa. They may be in Latin America. What's the most realistic path for those countries who want to participate? What would you advise someone who's from a less resource-rich area, but people resource? What should they be doing and not doing in government? Omar.
So the first thing I'm going to say is most of these tools, they have a freemium version or a free version of it. So they can use fundamental basic necessities to access the digital age is necessary for any government, right? And then guiding people towards them. One of the initiatives that we did, which I think is extremely crucial for governments, even the US government and others. So we did an initiative called AI in the Arena, where we actually tried to assess every single large AI model according to our culture, our history, to see if it understands who we are, where we came from, what our history was, our language, our dialect, our sayings, and so on and so forth. One of the reasons why we wanted to do that is if you're getting the whole population to be educated by these tools, you need to understand what these tools' view of you is. Do they see you in a positive view? Do they see you in a negative view? Like, let me give you an example. Does the cutting edge AI model see Arabs as sophisticated or unsophisticated? Does it see them as hardworking or not hardworking? And the same is true, by the way, for certain minorities in the US. The same is true for other groups of people around the world. Now, do you know which model ranked #1 in that assessment?
Which?
So it was Gemini. So I would like to congratulate Ruth on stage.
Thank you, Ruth.
But the whole purpose of this is 2 things. The whole purpose of this exercise, first, is for our people to understand that these tools today, if they have a negative view of us, then we need to be aware of the results that they're giving us. It's not that we are, unproductive or not smart. It's that these tools need to be, retuned. And second, it's for the companies to understand that we are aware and that we're going to work with them to try to show them the blind sides of the technology. No technology is perfect. When electricity was invented, there were houses that were going on fire because circuit breakers were not invented at the time. Governments came and shed light to certain things where regulations were put in place, and then the inventions to stop the negative ramifications of the technology were invented. So I think that's one of the things that the governments can do.
Look, I mean, it's give a round of applause. It's like I feel bad. I feel bad that on my day job we aren't having these kind of conversations more, because there's reason for hope. Sometimes I think on the news we wind up depressing people, distressing people, and yet every problem and concern that people are having, there's at least some answers for. So I want to give another round of applause to our guests. I also want you to know that because of John Hope Bryant's advocacy in this arena, a guy named Sam Altman, who you guys may have heard of, decided to create a whole AI ethics council, a council to help advise him to avoid some of these problems, some of these mistakes or whatever. And because you know how John is, he insisted that the world's first minister of AI join that council. So I'm able to announce today on stage that Omar is now going to be working with John Hope Bryant to take these ideas to Google, to OpenAI and beyond. That's the kind of leadership that you're getting, and you heard it here first. I think John was going to probably announce that later, but I just decided to do it. And look, in the couple minutes that we have remaining, if we do this right, if we minimize the pain and maximize the gain, paint and you get 60 seconds. Now we're going to do a live TV thing. You get 60 seconds, you get 60 seconds. Paint a picture of the world in 10 years if we get this right. I know you're working hard at Google. I know you're working hard in the UAE. There are other people here who are working hard. But paint a picture of what it would look like if we get this right. How is the average person, average family member going to see the world differently when they wake up in the morning? You go first, Ruth.
I think if we get this right, and we're all working hard to do that, what you see is it empowers small businesses, medium businesses, large businesses, and so you get the economic upside, which means jobs for people, which means being able to pay for the kinds of things our society needs: better healthcare delivery, better education, better infrastructure, clean water in every town. We can pay for the things we need, and that people will have different kinds of jobs, but they're going to be able to have a rich, meaningful life. There's access to information. They can see their children educated better because they go on individual journeys. Their teachers are supported. You get healthcare in every part of our country and around the globe. If we get it right, we're saying we've got to focus on the digital divide that has hurt this country and polarized so much of what we're seeing. That's what we need to do. We need to make sure that this is something, as His Excellency has said, we're focused on this at Google. This has to be for everyone. And so designing that it can be a support for everyone to go on that learning journey, be an uplift. I talk to small business owners, and it's exciting to hear when them talk about their ability. The art of the possible has changed. It's the ability to serve people in different ways. And so that to me is what's the exciting element of it. Even things, I know John Hope Bryant talks a lot about the importance to get financial literacy addressed so that people have control over what's so important. They work so hard to develop. Well, with AI, you can actually deliver services in ways that were only for the elite at one point, because you can change unit economics. So there are ways to better deliver. That's what we're all trying to work on, that it is support for everyone and that we have done that hard work to mitigate on the downside.
That's awesome. That's hopeful. Give her a round of applause for her commitment. She doesn't have to do it the right way. She could do it the wrong way. She's doing it the right way. And we appreciate you and Your Excellency.
So I'm going to give you a different view. I think that historically, technology has always been an amplifier of our physical abilities. So technology, whether it was the steam engine, whether it was electricity, whether it was computers, always tried to improve our physical abilities and maybe make long distances shorter. For the first time in our history as a species, we have a technology that's able to amplify our cognitive ability, give us access to intelligence, or hopefully make us more intelligent. What that would mean is I think we're going to see the revival of the Renaissance man or woman, which is an individual that's a polymath, an individual that can learn many things and contribute to many different sectors. That is the vision, right? The vision is that we finally enter a world where you don't have to be specialized in one domain. You can be specialized in many domains. And how that would translate into the world is, I think, for the first time in history, we have a chance where it doesn't matter where you're born, it doesn't matter what your skin color is, it doesn't matter if you're low income or high income. You're able, through grit and hard work, to leverage these tools to create opportunities. It's going to mean that the American dream is not going to be reserved to America. It's not going to be reserved to the UAE. It's going to be a global dream where opportunities are going to be universal for anyone that has the ability to work hard and apply their knowledge. And I think in the UAE, we believe that it will also amplify the voices of countries and communities that historically were not amplified because of their size, because of their history and otherwise. So I believe if we're going to get it right, that's what it will equal to. It will equal to equal opportunities for everyone.
That's awesome.
And then just one tiny thing, if I may. It's not just the Renaissance person, if I can. We also have to build the infrastructure, because you can't have this without the energy to deliver it. That means more electrical worker jobs, more plumbers, more welders. There's an entire other set of jobs that we're training for, and we've got training programs on that as well at Google, because we think that's so important. So there are two paths.
Hey, listen, heart, head, and hands all can be amplified. A round of applause. This is extraordinary. This is extraordinary. I'm going to bring this to a close. I can't tell you how much I appreciate what you're saying. One of the things you mentioned about being a polymath, which is a really cool term for what a lot of you guys already are. Brilliant in multiple categories. Brilliant in multiple categories. And that's we got a room full of people like that. And now we can put a jetpack under each and every one of those skills, so you're going to be able to do stuff you've never done before. In fact, myself, I'll make my own announcement. I've stepped into the world of AI, trying to take my passion for bringing people together, and we launched today something called WorkBetterTogether.ai. WorkBetterTogether.ai. And please go check it out. You can get 60 days of free help, 60 days of free help for your companies with WorkBetterTogether.ai, because I want to be a polymath, and we all can be. And so that's one good announcement, but here's another one. Something's about to happen that's going to be in the history books on this stage. Remember I said it. Remember I said it. We're going to bring out a few more guests. We have a very special announcement. There's been a gap between our communities and this whole AI boom. That gap is about to collapse. That gap is about to close. So I want you to remember, look at your watch. I want you to remember where you were. I'm not joking. Where you were, how you were feeling when this next group of people takes the stage. I want you to welcome the chair of the board for the United Negro College Fund and 100 Black Men of America, Mr. Milton Jones Jr., a giant, the CEO of Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America, Artis Stevens, back to the stage, a giant. And it goes without saying, a leader for our time. Someone who is transforming the civil rights movement into a silver rights movement. Somebody who has brought us here together, the great John Hope Bryant, for a major announcement. A major announcement. Thank you, brother.
Hello, Atlanta and the world.
Get close to him so we can be in the shot.
Have you enjoyed this so far? I was running around, so I don't know if this was made clear. His Excellency from the United Arab Emirates, that was just on screen, who is the first Minister of Artificial Intelligence for any government in the world. I'm proud to announce today that at about 4 this morning, the UAE issued or agreed to issue a press release in concert with Operation Hope, placing the minister on the board of directors of the AI Ethics Council, which I co-chair with Sam Altman. That takes this work internationally, in fact, makes it global. There are other announcements that will be coming. I was invited to go to the UAE to speak in February, and I'm going to try to honor that request. Let me now get to the meat of the matter. By the way, didn't Van Jones do a great job in that last session?
Thank you, sir. Love you, brother.
And Ruth Porat, I don't, you know, there's a lot of presidents of this and presidents of that. When you're president of Google, that's like being prime minister of the UK or something. I mean, it's a big deal. And to have a woman in that role, in particular, I think it's incredible. Ruth, we love you and respect you and appreciate you. She is brilliant. And thank you, Michael Milken, who made that connection for her and me. We're sitting once again in a moment in history. I call this the third Reconstruction. I thought I had the narrative worked out and correct, that first Reconstruction was freedom, Civil War, post-period, Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, so many heroes and sheroes of that era. Then second Reconstruction, 20th century, 1958, about 1968, 1970. Dr. King, Coretta Scott King, Dr. Dorothy Height, Ambassador Andrew Young, John Lewis, a bunch of heroes and sheroes that reset this country, and that was about access. And we're honored to have Ambassador Young, of course, with us at the Forum Living History. And yes. And then the third Reconstruction, I believed was and is about opportunity and ownership. Financial literacy is a civil rights issue of this generation. And we need to go from the streets to the suites. You've heard me say that before. Yes. And you can do it. I talked about the color is not black and white or red or blue. It's green. Okay. And I still believe that. And it's hard to get me off my focus. And I've been passionate about this issue and unrelenting. I believe that we're in the third Reconstruction, and you always have 5 years of disruption, 3 to 5 years leading up to Reconstruction. So you have the assassination of Abraham Lincoln leading up to the first Reconstruction. You had the assassination of Dr. King in the second Reconstruction. And I believe you had the assassination of George Floyd at the trigger effect in COVID in the third Reconstruction. I thought this was all worked out. Then I met this guy named Sam Altman. And Sam asked me to come out and come by his office. He's wearing some jeans and a t-shirt, as I recall. And I was suited and booted. And I thought I was refined. I think it was mid-2022, a beta sample of this thing that you now call ChatGPT. It hadn't been publicly announced, and I could not process what I was looking at. But I knew at that moment that the world had just changed. And later on, I'll save you the story. Later on, he said, "John, what should I do? You gotta make sure you involve underserved communities. We are always left out. We need to be part of the dialogue on the front end, the beginning." And so he promised to come on a tour of underserved communities. His office called. Sam's really busy. He can't do the tour. I said, no, he has to do the tour. So I called him directly. And he said, let me work on this. He called me a couple months later, said, look, the president of the United States back then The Biden administration wants me to come to the White House. Is there any chance when I leave the White House and come to your house, come to Atlanta, can you host me in 3 days? Sure. I just said yes, had no idea what we were going to do. It was 2 a.m, I called Dr. Atlanta University in the civil rights movement. It happened, and I can't tell you what it's going to be. But this is going to change it. Inspired and complete. Here's what I have to say. In 1850 and 1910. Between 1850 and 1850, it was about the horse and the buggy. Everything was a horse. 1850, 1860, 1870, 1880, 1890, 1900, 1 out of 10 jobs was a ferry. Very eloquent statement. Very organic. And but that was environment. You had it was wealth. It was it pulled your Cadillac, what do you call it? The wagon. The wagon. And here comes the automobile. It wasn't one manufacturer. It was 109 manufacturers, and most of them failed. And years. You're gonna go from a human-centric economy to a technology-centric economy. Everything's going to change. Because your jobs will be taken by somebody who can use a job. Making 6 figures. Caucasian educated job. Making 6 figures. Caucasian educated whatever, and you are lazy about the future. It's going to take your job. Van Jones gave me credit for a quote. It's really his. 99% of black people don't know a thing about AI, but 99% of white people don't know a thing about AI either. It's an equal opportunity. It's an equal opportunity discrimination. We are living right now rainbows only friends who say, oh, my other almost do anything with.
That's right.
I am proud to tell you that for the first time in almost do anything with.
That's right.
I am proud to tell you that for the first time in 33 years, I had to look at financial literacy, which has been my single literacy. Today, we need to have civil rights and civil rights. Financial literacy to the world. Hope AI. No. First national nonprofit organization to frame a national support system for underserved communities around artificial intelligence. 1,500 offices that, if you want to get a job, really everything around you is going to be reimagined. AI in screens, AI in furniture, AI in carpet, AI in skill behind me. The second part of this is called community AI. And that's where we're going to take all the nonprofits in this country with $1 million cost of membership in community AI school tools. You need data, you need accounting, you need systems. You cannot just have a dream. You cannot just have a dream. You cannot, as Dr. Dorothy Height said, John, profits will have a chance to have a membership in community AI, plugging into the essential tools that allow you to be competitive. And we're going to have our coaches coaching you up to allow you to enter the markets of the future. We're going to make sure our people are educated in AI, otherwise they won't have a job, because we need an army for good, a coalition of the willing. So I'm proud to tell you today that today the first founders, the founding signatories to a new distribution channel for AI is 100 Black men of America. We're hearing soon our first dreams. They start modest, they start small, and they grow. You're going to see more tech companies sign on to be next to Shopify. You're going to see more community partners sign on to join them. If we don't have 30 national partners by the first quarter,
let me tell you, I am proud to be on this stage, and John, let me tell you, my brother, you have vision, passion, conviction. Big Brother happened without community, without partnership. I'm here on this stage. We were had an idea, and that was access to relationships, to mentorship, to connections that could create jobs and opportunities, not only to change their lives, but very importantly, to empower young people. We will tell you about this. 10% more earnings across the time they invested. We returned 7 times. In that same moment of that idea of one person saying we needed to make radical change, radical purpose. We need radical change and radical purpose today, and we need to have leaders and partners that help us to do it. It's about putting empowerment in young people's hands. About navigating out to graduate from I didn't like y'all. Not only change their lives, but we empower them to change their surroundings, to change their community, to change this country, and to ultimately their surroundings, to change their community, to change this country, and to ultimately change this world. Let's go. Change this world. Let's go.
In a small amount of time, but a deep amount of history. Rarely in your life do you get to see a level playing field. We haven't seen a level playing field yet, but we're seeing one today. And his team for being a part of this changing of the game. For being a part of this changing of the game. I represent the 100 Black Men of America, Inc. 60 years ago, 100 men together. 40 years ago, that became a national change. AI is that rocket we've been looking for. And they say if the sky's the limit, why are the footprints on the moon? We are going to change the world by changing the tools we use and how we equip our young people, our middle-aged people, and our older people. We thank you for that opportunity.
Symbolic commitment board. We want to thank Georgia State University, Dean Phillips, for AILP3 that led up to this. While you're sitting here, a press release has been issued about Hope AI. The website has gone up for Hope AI. We are going to go. Now, here's how you participate. I'm on a college campus. I have a church, a synagogue, a mosque, a boys and girls club, a community office. I want to be on my block, a links car organization, whatever. I want to be part of this. I want to have Hope AI and financial literacy coaching in my community. You become the quarterback. You become the hero and the shero that changes our world.
Hope AI. Very, very exciting. Now let's keep it moving because I am honored to introduce and moderating our talk, the editor-in-chief of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Mr. Leroy Chapman.
Big margins, so they operate on mandates. Big margins, so they operate on mandates. And both of you are strong mayors, meaning that you have your hands on the day-to-day operations of the city. I mean, it might mean you work out too. I shook your hand in your hand, so I think, you're strong mayors in that term. But mayors in that term. But let's get right into it. As chief executives, you set the agenda. So what investments are you making today that is aimed at shaping the future of the long-term health of your city? And
here is honored to be. It's important investment we can make is in our youth and in our young people. And the city of Memphis proper is not responsible for education. That's the county government. We actually have to helps this past year, which is the most we've ever had in Memphis. Yeah, thank you for that. We have an ambitious goal of getting what you can't see, and hope that we want them to aspire towards. And so that's really the biggest investment that we're making. Is investments in our young people, our program.
Off in the future.
Yeah, I appreciate it to see so many friends and so many got a whole lot in common.
Yes.
I remember, as you know, 4 years ago, it was to make sure that we're one safe city, a city of opportunity for all, a city built for the future, and a city certainty so that you know how you're going to but also safety for your personal safety, your family safety. It's affordable housing. It's about small business investment. It's about making sure that the economic engines of this city works for everyone, that opportunities are built for the future. What are we doing to make sure that this future, that we're future ready, future proof, if you even imagine that. And you think about all the things we're doing in technology. I create private equity investment to make sure that this city is a city that you mentioned when you're thinking about technology. Of course, we have this great set of institutions from Georgia Tech to Morehouse Bell. See Atlanta as an investment-worthy place so that we always have a vitality in our economics and that people want to be here, work here, and do business here. Investing in our youth is exactly what we all have talked about. To make sure that this is the best city in the country to raise a child is my goal. That's my ultimate goal, my North Star. And to do that, I declared it the Year of the Youth. And that's 3 percentage points higher than the state of Georgia. We invested so much in our young people, not only in after-school programs and, of course, summer jobs. Just like this mayor here, I set a goal. When I got the ball, we were at like 1,200, 1,500 summer youth employment. Now we're at 6,000 people making $15 an hour minimum and $17.50 average. And Coca-Cola, they're working. If you're interested in marine biology, you work at the world's biggest fish tank, which is the Georgia Aquarium, just over this experience of a lifetime, because they're going to be holding these seats in a few years. And so that's our future investment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In future applications of AI, there's an economist, they laid out a stark binary choice for individuals and their institutions. And for workers, he said, you're either going to be AI empowered or left behind. So I would like for each of you to talk about what you're doing now and what communities should be doing. Start with you.
Yeah. This XAI built a $12 billion facility in the city of Memphis. And there was a lot of political pushback. One, the opportunity to give incentives. We call them pilots in Memphis, tax abatements. And for this, which is a great thing. It's a great thing. It's $25 million in its first year. $25 million to our city and county. We were able to allocate to make deep investments in the community that have been much needed for many, many years. And we started this because we want to have a process for data centers, because essentially it's a big data center. There's going to be, a couple hundred employees, but not thousands of employees in the communities most adjacent. And so that community benefit ordinance is one way to make sure that as these data centers are coming into communities all across this country as a part of AI, that we're getting maximum benefit. The other part of the equation is making sure that our young people have the opportunity. I think Mayor Dickens was at as well. And I had a meeting with some young people that had started a new business where how to use AI, driving AI to create the new businesses, and not thinking about it, how it replaces us, but how do we use it to amplify and create new entrepreneurs. And I think when we have that level of training in our communities, then you're going to see our communities be able to rise because they're going to generate.
I set a meeting with them, and now the city of Atlanta is utilizing that technology to make sure that we expedite our procurement processes and look for businesses in our ecosystem that can perform those tasks. We're utilizing the technology that we saw. Going off of what he said, engineers and no technology. Before this job as mayor, I was the chief development officer for a company called TechBridge. And so, where is he taking me, right? The first time you stayed in somebody else's house, Airbnb, you don't know these folks, right? Or came out with those computers that had, give somebody three-way calling and call forward and then get them an extra line. Why I need this mouse and this all this? Is this just too much? To engage with what's fake. How do you getting catfish and get educated about it? Two, we have to embrace the positives of it, which for us in the city of Atlanta, we're using AI right now. You call 311, you'll get you can go to a live person information desk, or you can go to Ava, who's our AI, and you can ask her, I'm just trying to get a permit, and she'll walk you through it. Or I'm trying to find somebody that can help me get an after-school program from action tools that can garbage trucks that's going around So we're using AI to improve our lives, not necessarily take away jobs. But then the third piece is what you talked about, is how to inform people to get involved in AI to make money off.
That's right.
So Thrivity, But when we talk about stability, so just take a minute apiece, if you would, to talk about what that means for right now and the implications of the future when who is in your city and what it looks like. So,
Director for the city of Memphis for many years on housing in the city of Memphis. And in Memphis, affordable, fit for human habitation. We want to make sure it was really, and the affordable housing fund that they created is one that we're actually working to create as well. Because what we have to do when it comes to affordable housing, it's a math issue. It's an issue of math. Like, you can only build so much housing for so cheap. There has to be some level of subsidy or some reduced debt, some reduced level of debt that comes into the equation. When I say level of debt, I mean the level of debt that comes into the equation. When I say level of debt, I mean the interest rate. So if I can create a fund where I can provide thousands of dollars at 1%, it must create that in our community, and it's going to be modeled after what you've done here, because we have a deficit of about 38,000 affordable housing units in the city of Memphis right now. We need people to have access to those resources.
Talking about affordable housing and to be able to share the things that we're doing in Atlanta, quite a bit of this. Let's just talk about it a little bit. So affordable housing has two parts to it. The affordable with a lot, but the affordable part is still a economics issue. People have more month than money. You have more month than money, you're going to have an affordability challenge because you have more month than money, you're going to have an affordability challenge because enough to afford. Smart people in this room need to also focus on the affordable things of that nature.
Right.
But going to the housing part, I always say that Atlanta is a group project. And I know a lot about affordable housing, but I know that there's others in this room and others around the community that would like to help in that. And so we do an all of the above approach. When I got in, I wasn't Killer Mike and Shay and Crystal and their team. I'm working with HUD. If you come with me 2 hours from now, stay here, but 2 hours from now, I'll be cutting a ribbon on a modular unit that end up doing.
all right. Thank you, Mayor Dickens. All right, so Mayor Young, Mayor Dickens, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Our cities are in good hands.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to contextualize the second Reconstruction. I'm not making a racial comment. I'm really not, but this is striking to me. This is striking to me. The mayor of Memphis was white. The mayor was white. The mayor faced the back of the person of color. These are not black. Editor-in-chief.
Let's hear it again for that group. It's exciting. We appreciate them sharing their inspiring stories. Now we're going to get a little bit serious on a topic you need to know. On April 4th of this year, the 5th of dreadful word, we are pleased Sam.
This project advocates an Dream Forward event. We were glad to join in that process. Dream Forward event. We were glad to join in that process. And so what we did was we set about several months of research together into a plan that provides some historical background and some economic analysis and the research that brings to key points, three big points, one of which is financial literacy and the general concept of making everyone educational pipeline, which begins well before you get into the workforce. And the third is building partnerships between business and government, and the responsibility that businesses have, but also the opportunity that they have in creating technology revolution and what that brings to our workforce. So let me introduce Sam, or let him have a word.
First of all, happy birthday, Caroline. It's her birthday today. It's amazing to talk after the mayor of the city of the dream and the dreamer. It's amazing. Beautiful in fall 2026. So from a comparison, college, climb them. So what actually Operation Hope does, it gives you a dry patch to go to climb the stairs. And that's why coach economics here, you have credit scores, all beautiful things. But what doesn't work is the plumbing. What Operation Hope is doing is what we wanted to say. Thank you. Please read our paper and then send us your.
Atlanta's own Emmy and Grammy award-winning artist and entrepreneur extraordinaire.
I guess the best place to start is to get your thoughts on future proofing. When you think about the future of entrepreneurship, what feels real to you right now and expectation? What should that be?
I don't know for everyone. And I think it's important, as I read more Charlie Munger, to know what you don't know. It's on trade sandwich shops where somebody will still serve me. So as I still put me in front of people beyond housing and development, which was barbershops, one is with State Farm Arena. I'll be there tonight when the Hawks cook ass. So for me, those are the things that I see as opportunities in future.
You're looking at businesses where people still touch people.
Yes.
And where the opportunity to lose people in the equation. How about you, Kaz?
And I are getting it tick back up again.
Yeah.
After a very long time of like downtowns dying, things are starting to recover. So I'm very bullish on the future of local businesses in local communities.
So let's be really clear. Define local business, because the suggestion may be there if we're talking about keeping the human in the process, that you're suggesting local businesses don't have the tech ability as well.
No, I don't think, I think those two things are no longer the same thing. It used to be you could be local or all the AI tools that all the big companies have, all the softwares that the big companies have. So I don't think you can be, head in the ground, ignore that are going to survive in ways.
Because you invest your days making complicated things simple for regular people. So what is, like, maybe one or two everyday changes you see happening right now that
home decor stuff in Toronto. And she is an immigrant. English is her third language, and she starts every day in AI. She starts every day on ChatGPT, planning her day, and being most efficient with her marketing dollars. This is why the future of business is going to be so many more businesses, because they're just, each of them are so much more efficient.
Well, that's a good thought. Mike, you turn ideas into businesses. I mean, think about it, music, retail, community. When you look at the future, what's giving you hope right now about where entrepreneurship is heading? After all, this conversation is about building successful businesses and future-proofing.
I'll tell you what I really like about what I'm seeing. When I was young, I had ideas, and then I had to figure out how far between the ideas and the tools I needed to actually execute the idea. When I had an idea for music, I had to go find a kid whose parents had bought him a production machine or a pair of turntables. Then we had to find a studio that was cheap enough to use. A lot of the ideas that kids have now in particular can be exercised in the immediate. If I want to do a song as a kid, I could literally sit in my bedroom with my laptop, with a microphone, do said song, then distribute said song via TikTok and other things to let people know I'm there. And in terms of repeatability, I can do 100 different rap videos to it, because I can do 100 videos for 100 days to make people say, hey, my idea is over here in the corner, look at me. What I also like about ideas now is, in terms of AI, especially in terms of a barbershop, our barbershop is really just a community center. It really is a social center. It's a working man social club. And what I've been able to do in my shop is realize that I'm more than a barbershop. We are a brand masquerading as a barbershop. So as my barbers and customers has given me ideas, it's become much cheaper to exercise ideas. When we look at ourselves like a brand, I don't want to have to press up 20,000 t-shirts to try to sell. I can press up 200 very exclusive t-shirts for the premium price on them and make them only available at this particular store. So for me, what we've been able to do in terms of the swag shop, the shave, wash, and groom shop, is take our ideas, materialize them. COVID showed us we're more than just a place to get a haircut. We're a cultural center that people miss that will buy our merchandise. And even going beyond there, what we've gotten into now is product. We actually press up our own shampoos, our own soaps, our own shaving creams, because I don't want the customer experience to stop with the service you get. I'm not ad hoc. I'm not something you could throw away, just find another shop. You are special to come through these doors. doors. AI helps us do that in the way we communicate with our customer, whether it's sending them emails or dropping new advertisements.
And I think it gives some fluidity to what local means as well.
It really
But
does.
You're jumping into my head, Mike, because I was thinking just before coming out here, you know, every great business needs a great brand, but every great brand is not a great business.
This is true. This is true.
And I think I think a little bit of conversation around that is important because each of you have experienced leading businesses, different businesses at different times, but more importantly, you're leading businesses into the future right now.
Yeah.
Lean in on that.
Well, I'm learning, and that's the beautiful thing I think about my journey is I knew how to be an artist. I knew how to take an idea, go in the studio, execute that idea. I knew how to write an idea down, video idea, shoot it. What I didn't understand is how much ideas are influence your business, and in terms of leaning into it, what I've learned is that I have an opportunity to have a clean slate and to do things totally different. I can take the local, very community-based barbershop concept. I can marry that with something very scalable like what ProClips does. It matters of being cool. What we've had to learn how to do is take the stability of the people that have come before us, the corporations that have come before us, add it with our cool and growth. 3 locations, we have the absolute best, and in terms of spreadability, selling merchandise and selling products so you can have that experience beyond our door.
And being cool isn't just about the swag. It's more importantly about the emotional connection somebody's going to feel about wearing or using your product and doing businesses. It's to go to from 0 to 100 in a day. The cost of doing business is real. And there's some undiscovered costs that you learn along the way, like healthcare, like employing more than 4 people and have a different set of requirements placed on you. You've got a lot of people who aren't coming from university or a great idea into a business. You've got a lot of corporate people, some requirements that they hadn't foreseen.
You know, when I started my first business, I remember my wife and I put the first payroll on our credit card, and it was the scariest thing. I don't recommend doing that. It's a really bad idea, especially, you know, if you're newly married. This initiative called 1 Million Black Businesses, as much as $2 million. And what we would do is we'd say, find your first 1,000 customers. Don't go hire someone. Don't go paying someone. Learn how to do it yourself. And if you do that, if you stay small for a while, learn how to do as many.
Requires us to understand.
Today, Jim Shark started out of his college dorm room after 17 failures, I think. And he didn't grow big until he was making money on each t-shirt.
And I'm going to circle back, Mike, to something with you, because you talked about the trust in different people. In an age where language is no longer the barrier it used to be based on the ability, tends to have the same meaning wherever we go today.
Yeah.
But it also is the one that can make or break a business. In how we build that trust, but more important,
trust. One with the swag barbershop is one of the best places for my boys to come to see examples of men that work, men that are decent, that provide good advice to them. I need you to keep that shop open because beyond being a customer and getting nice haircuts, this is where my boys' cornerstone culture in terms of men. My family provided great examples that weren't the business, allowed me and Shayna to say, we're going to keep the doors open, but what are we going to do? And that's when we start realizing we're a brand. We can sell T-shirts. We can still pay the rent. We can keep this thing afloat until it happens. And part of being a local business was to get shrunk. Can it pay for itself? When it showed us it'll pay for itself, we kept the character we were helping to build. As she spent her dollars with me, I wouldn't have valued the business in the same way, or I might have gotten caught up in simply the numbers. Another one is a business that has been open 1 year now, Bankhead Seafood. We had some stumbles, and it got to the point where we said we got to shut down. And when we redefined the system for how we serve people, we had to have 60 days where we needed us that we were going to do the right thing in the community. And when we closed the doors to 60 days, they trusted us to reopen. And as we reopened, the community has shown us and reciprocated that trust. I've learned about trust is listen to your customer base and react.
You're right. I hear a lot of that in what you're communicating. And Kaz, I'm sure there has to have been something you had to unlearn that our audience doesn't.
Until they get punched in the face. I think the thing I've learned every single day, and that I think is actually a thing that honestly, people to learn the wrong way from big businesses,
Mm-hmm.
because big businesses won't be around that long because they overplan.
Mm-hmm.
The people who are going to win are everyday Americans in neighborhoods who can act quickly. And fast will beat slow every single day. Look, I run a company called Open Door, where we buy and sell homes in as little as 3 days.
Oh, wow.
Like an e-commerce purchase. And why do we do that? Because trust is important. But letting people make decisions quickly is also important. And that's my main lesson for the past couple of years. Just be as fast as you can and everything will be fine.
Many of the decisions you make in an enterprise-sized business can be made from the protection of scale.
Mm-hmm.
Many of the people, one of the things I
failed. What I've learned about failing, though, is cut it as quickly as you possibly can.
Yeah.
A lot of us, because especially as a musical artist, you're single and that single fails. Well, in business, what I've learned was if you've tried, you work fast, you've mitigated your plan. Your plan works or doesn't work. What I've learned more about feel and try to learn from that failure as I'm in the middle of doing.
As I know you want to speak on that with the short time we have left. Speak on that, but speak on this too. Failing public.
Much pride in themselves. They don't attach ideas to them. Look at one of the greatest companies in the world, Amazon. Does anyone remember Amazon phone? Do you remember Amazon restaurant? And
you're talking about Amazon, you're talking about how do they fail fast and how do
your family is better.
Your whole somebody can't trust me. Mike, I really want you to take us home on this, okay? When you do have problem that 5-year business.
And ultimately, what's a 10-year thing? I think what I want as community, no matter what ethnicity you, on a very local level, this is how I compete in HVAC, plumbing, electrical, house building. I'd like to see more.
And that's a new millionaire market, by the way.
Absolutely.
Trade is a new millionaire market.
Absolutely. I want to see companies like my wife's company, Sherwood Development, taking homes owned by Booker T. Washington, local guy from here, has built 2 micro communities. I want to see
living in a car to helping people be able to pay cash for
absolutely.
cars.
Absolutely.
And Kaz, what about you? You got 30 seconds to do it.
I want to go out and start something today. It will be the best thing you can do. Don't be afraid to fail. All of us have failed. All of us have fallen on our face. It will be fine.
Another brand says just do it. Whether we see that as a celebration, it's a holiday. For many, it's a holiday season. And I think that regardless of where we are, let's assure that we use it as a hallowed season.
Amen.
That we are lifting up others. And that's the message I think all of us are sharing here. In whether you're giving individuals the goal, do well and do good at the same time.
Amen.
Y'all have heard that said before. Let's take that forward in this season of light. And let's make sure that we're in John Hope.
Thanks, man. That was great. Thanks, man. That was great.
Hold on. Did you know that my brother Killer Mike loves you so much? He broke his tooth this morning and he still showed up.
But we gave you the right side, right?
Black woman and Cass, we actually have never met in person, have we?
I did, Brian.
So check this person, have we?
I did, Brian.
So check this out. We talked by phone and I think video conference. We met during COVID.
Yep.
And he was at Shopify, and thank you, Harley Finkelstein. And I'm talking to this guy named Ken, who eyes on him. He approved $1 million on your dream.
Not much, man. Not much.
Do that now. So we have some exciting back in 20. Welcome Max Gerald and Katrina Mock Palmer.
First and foremost, I want to take the opportunity to thank John Hope Bryant and his entire team for empowering us to make real, everyday impacts in our communities. My name is Strays who make life possible on campus. And Determination Project and Operation Hope's One MBB partnership. And on top of that, just last year became the first Black woman to own a commercial building in downtown Palmer.
Come from a home in the operation trying to into a community with a 28-week course. I learned all about marketing strategies, I learned about how to get funding. I have never written a business. I learned about how to get funding. I have never written a business plan until I got that class. So I wrote my first 36 and getting all that information. And I did the work class. So I wrote my first 36 and getting all that information. And I did the work. But once I learned the strategies of marketing and the strategies of the funding that I could get with childcare, we don't have a daycare. We don't babysit. We have a child care center where we don't have a daycare. We don't babysit. We have a child care center where we teach and educate our children. And because of the REACH project and all the information, the tools and education that they gave me, I was able to turn my smarters. And I thank God for that. So in order to keep a small care business, to make it a big business, you have to dream, you have to do the work.
Okay, the good news is solving problems. Generous country in the world in that field. So the chairman and CEO of Stand Together and president of the Charles Koch Foundation, Brian Hooks. The CEO of United Way Worldwide, Angela Williams, and the executive foundation, Brian Hooks. The CEO of United Way Worldwide, Angela Williams, and the executive chairman of U.S. News and World Report, Eric Gertler.
An amazing panel this morning. We've got about the top country. Amazing panel this morning. We've got about the top country, but for the facing higher cost. We're seeing are looking to do more to train the next generation of students, and our local community organizations are having to do more to solve issues for our communities. For our communities. And so we have all the answers here, so not to worry. We're going to get to everything with. And so we have all the answers here, so not to worry. We're going to get to everything with this amazing organization that is 100 changing. You need to think about how your mission has changed, but perhaps your values have stayed the same. So talk about those issues today.
Thank you for that question. In mind that our core mission and values should never change. But what we do recognize is that our core mission and values should never change. But what we do recognize is that there's so many externalities, pressure 25. And so some of the things that we take a look at United Way Worldwide, because we are in 35 countries, at United Way Worldwide, because we are in 35 countries, recognize that one, we want to ensure that every person in every community can thrive. What does that mean? You heard the announcement that John Hope Bryant, Van Jones, and others said about, we think about what are the tools that we can tap into using technology to ensure that people have the opportunity to reskill. As a 138-year-old organization, we still keep in mind that it is important to maintain this human tech, the work, whether human-to-human connection.
So you address 48 million people. How do you maintain that human contact with 48 million people in 35 countries around the world?
We do it through our millions of employees, volunteers, donors that go out and volunteer every day, that give up their treasure to the United States, partner with
60-something years old. How have you thought about how your mission has changed, your values, again, to solve the issues that you want to solve?
Yeah, I mean, I would double down on what Angela just said, which is the values don't shift. And who we are here for doesn't change. We are the independent philanthropic affiliate of AARP, so our focus is firmly on the 39 million people over 50 in this country who are living in poverty or one life event away from slipping into it. So how do we better serve them? in the past few years to stop asking, how do we serve them better? How do we make poverty less grinding? Systems and structures that keep people in poverty, whether that is really complex systems to apply for benefits, whether that are like really strong and to be poor in America.
We're going to come back to that because those are very important questions. Brian, let me bring you into the conversation. Your organizations have been around for a little bit less time, but you've changed significantly the problem and figure out
good company, principle-based to come together to people as well as effective. We have to learn, and our strategies absolutely have to change in our comprehensive approach. Right? If you want to solve something like generational poverty, there's no single solution that's going to get it done. And what we've found in the nonprofit sector is to cooperate and to figure out how to specialize and achieve things like gains from trade are often absent or just very underdeveloped. That if they really focus on what they do best and not try to boil the ocean, not try to do everything, but rather rely on another organization that can rely on an impact organization.
Do you mind if I just have been around for a long time? And there are And there are certain systems that seem entrenched, and that I am tired of trying to be invited to sit at a table. I'm setting my own table, and I'm inviting you to join.
It's not just doing what you're doing, it's actually recognizing, and I think this is what you've done, doing what you're doing, it's actually recognizing, and I think this is what you've done, is that actually philanthropy often encourages the other behavior.
Right.
Potential collaborators often encourages the other behavior.
Right.
Potential collaborators. So how do we change our own behaviors so that we create that opportunity for collaboration and the incentives for collaboration?
About things we can do, and by extension, everyone here, because you're all engaged, take more risks.
Yes.
Right. The problems that we're facing today take more risks.
Yes.
Right. The problems that we're facing today are extraordinary,
yes,
in many ways unprecedented.
Yes.
And if we limit ourselves, or if we continue to ask, instead, as the panel before us talked about, we have to be okay with failure. We have to be there and help people to say, push the envelope. We have to be there and help people to say, push the envelope a little bit further, because for as many.
So Brian, when you talk, okay, 100% we're dealing with poverty, we're dealing with homeless, we're dealing with some immediate crisis that we got to solve today, yet at the same time,
most recently already have
that are space with our own operations, but that's not enough. Meeting the immediate need is not enough. So one of the things that you're placing bets. You're saying we're going to go after some cases that could lawsuit against Meta recently on behalf of real women in trucking, because Meta was not serving trucking ads to women in rhythm. I'll give you the cost-efficient solution. So we sued Meta, and
so, obviously important success. You identified a problem, solved it. Brian, over the long term, how do you think about customer?
Right.
How do you think about?
Excited about about the org you're out determines your opportunity to succeed. And the fact of the matter is that in the social sector, we have pretty lousy data, generally. And how many people did you treat, or how many people graduated from your program, for instance? But what we really want to know about is outcomes, right? How did your service do different activities? This can be revolutionary. It can transform not just philanthropy, but the social sector overall. You think about it, if we have better information, donors who are directing resources will put resources into programs that work better. Organizations that are serving people will invest in the programs that work better and get out of the things that don't. But most importantly, the people who are benefiting from these services will be able to make good choices about the services that they seek given their circumstances. So this is kind of like the brass ring. If we can figure out a way to more consistently measure in communities across the United States, the whole idea that why not, right? Business in the service industry, let's do that here as well. Text message, right now we're surveying one person every 3 minutes in this country, and we're just getting started. And in partnership with United Way and other organizations through this 211 program, we have the opportunity now to bring that outcome measurement, that information, into the hands who are providing services to people to make sure they get better services. And just in the pilot program, we've already helped to refer over 600 help them not just meet their need, but ultimately transform.
Partnership working out.
Well, you know, those of you that don't know, we take in about 50,000 calls a day from people all over the world, and then we launched during the government shut resources. But one of the things that I want to say is we're doing a similar project with AARP for caregiver support, where AARP said, how do we make this joint partnership stick per caregiver when
how are you tracking that?
Working for you, and you want to know.
Excited about it. I have also been a caregiver. There are about 8 million formal, like in the caregiving workforce workers today. There are something like 42 million family caregivers. You will be a caregiver. And it doesn't often happen over time slowly. It often happens overnight. And that's when being able to pick up the phone, it often happens overnight. And that's when being able to pick up the phone and call 211 and figure out what caregiving leave for early low-income workers, because they don't have those resources. So it's just, it couldn't be more important.
So for you, is there a piece of data, is there a metric that you look at to assess whether or not you're doing the right thing? I mean,
I would say two things:
Yep.
efficacy, so the outcome,
Yep.
but also efficiency. And I think there's not enough that.
So, what should we be hoping first?
I know who.
The opportunities that we have to bring people together and to help people to see that the future depends on each and every. It's the idea of American people before,
Which is kind of fun. That can be scary, but that's also a moment where we are forced to start asking more fundamental questions again and not just sort of live in the status quo. And I think that's really exciting. That we should not lose our sense of agency and our power to shape the future that we want to live in. And so I'm very excited by that moment of kind of radical questioning. Because everything is sort of up for grabs. We don't know what 2030 looks like, and I don't think we've not known what 4 or 5 years out was going to look like. And
how we, radically question everything, how we come together as a people, and how we always turn to the human heart to take care of others. Everybody, please give me a round of applause for these great panelists. So thank you.
Ava Beauty. We are a Black-owned inclusive makeup brand that's based in Los Angeles, California. When I started my company, I was working in the beauty industry. Advisors that are giving me advice on how to build things and showing them within our.
Yeah, already taking the time, managing and helping them along the way about that and helping them along the way about that part. Some of our sponsors. Where you at? LaCarrie there? Partners. On so many fronts. Hope Inside the Workplace. We have coaches that provide support to the UPS need because of the fact presidential declared disaster property that they're because of having part disaster that we acknowledge our disaster partners, because anytime a disaster occurs, it can affect anyone. Lastly, I'll say affect anyone. Lastly, I'll say about our programs at pretty much no cost, but also the work that we're doing across the country is so important. And so their partners, Credit One, with our coach that'll be in Las Vegas. And why that's important, where John and I come from, Compton, California, Carson, California, respectively, we call that street cred. So all of our partners got street cred with us. Let's give them all a round of applause. All right, we're going to get the next part of the show going.
My name is Kimberly Lawson. I do credit and money management and small business coaching here at Operation Hope. I'm located in Atlanta. So my experience is credit scores as a youth because my parents did not know much about their credit until they became an adult. And so once I went through and money works, because understanding that money is a tool, first and foremost, is really, really important. So as I educate myself more, I'm able to help my cause it really just reapproaches. I see real growth is growing for this world in 30 years. I'm optimistic about Operation Hope and the growth that will continue.
What do we do here? We have 250 soldiers across the U.S. Operation Hope, Agents of Change. We're teaching families and individuals that a budget is not just a collection of numbers, but it's also an expression of your values and your aspirations. My name is Mike Linus, and I'm a credit money, to make them feel comfortable. Mr. Sullivan, he's from the Bay Area. I'm from California, I'm from LA. And, so we started to talk about Cali and stuff like that, and quickly identify that, because it's been more than 7 years. The change in her score was instant. Within 30 days after the dispute, her score jumped 90 points. The key with coaching is that hard to actually really provide them the assistance that they told you. Because are changing things, see they're optimistic, especially once they get the outcome that they never hoped for. We're, again, like I said, turning people from renters to homeowners, small business dreamers into small business owners. I truly, truly, truly fight to make sure that we get these businesses like payday lenders, rent to own, check cashing places out of business, because these are the type of businesses that target especially minority communities. We are changing the needle in a positive way. We are changing our community, one individual at a time, one family.
All right, all right, all right. All right, we're going to have a couple of other acknowledgments and continue some of our discussion for 11 years and 5 years, and this is our first time. So do we have any of the delegates here right now who've been to the 2 to 4 years? First timers.
Woo-hoo.
Hey. Awesome, awesome. Interesting, Donna, that those who've been here 2 years, 3 years, or 4, they're telling friends and associates and family members about it. And the last, we talked about the importance of buying to allow professionals from a variety of industries to be able to get involved in many ways. As a mentor to small businesses, I mentioned the other day, we have a 1 Million Black Business Initiative where we currently have over 500,000, a few minutes, to support Girls Club, YMCAs, teaching financial literacy. But today I want to acknowledge Truist. I know Purple Rain is still here. Right?
Purple Rain. Woo-hoo.
Y'all don't ever sleep, huh?
Yeah.
Y'all
They're the hype squad.
Okay. To help our staff with volunteer support. So you may see them in their Truist Purple Rain gear, being great, being gracious. And so if there are any that are here inside, I know they're out and around, please stand up.
Woo-hoo.
So we can recognize.
Let's hear it for them.
We thank you so much for your volunteer service year over year over year.
Yeah.
And it means a lot to our Operation Hope staff.
Yeah. Let's talk about Hope AI. Yeah. That was exciting today. How many are excited about Hope AI? Well, I don't know about you, but I feel a lot more comfortable about AI. I feel a lot more prepared. I like knowing that Hope AI is going to exist to help me get through it.
That's right.
Because there's a lot of scary stuff out there. Yes. But today, I think the guests outlined some really good stuff.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So that you shouldn't fear it.
Yeah.
And that it's a tool that we should embrace. I love the fact that how Chairman Bryant did some of the historical condition from the industrial age into the vehicle and having cars and how that is impacted. And then we know the impact of the internet. And now we're talking about AI. And while under these transformations each decade or so or century
left behind, we're going to be on board.
That's right.
We're going to know what we need to do.
That's right.
So I'm excited about that.
And I was trying to make this happen this year. We're going to have to do it next year, E3. We launched it this past summer at Georgia State University. We got Georgia State University in here.
Let's hear it.
Okay.
I know we do.
It was amazing. It was a 1-week program. We had 50 young people, ages 16 and 17, from the Boys and Girls Club and APS participate. They didn't know what they were getting themselves into. But the whole week was about meeting with mentors and facilitators with the goal of each of them being broken into groups of 8, creating a financial literacy. I'm here. Global Forum will be able to feature.
Yeah, and
We.
in a week. For it if you have. Yeah, right? Because
We.
in a week. For it if you have. Yeah, right? Because I think what this event does, and I love that it happens in December, because I think what this event does, and I love that it happens in December, because it's right around the time we start thinking of it.
And I love the fact that when you all leave, the words we keep hearing, inspirational. You all leave, the words we keep hearing, inspirational. Encouragement. Days to not only enjoy all of our great main speakers from all over the world, days to not only enjoy all of our great main speakers from all over the world, but to engage with each other, share ideas.
Really, it's really true. We are a big group here. We're all family now, aren't we?
Yes.
We're all
Part of
family.
the whole family.
We're the Hope family. And I love the future-proofing idea, future-proofing your finances, because
That's right. That's right.
That's the
so
main thing.
important. So important. Did you all enjoy when we announced what Clark Atlanta was doing with that investment fund? We had a couple of students. And we were at the CEO dinner last night, and Dr. George French, president of Clark Atlanta, Camera, thank you.
Camera.
Senior moment.
Good.
Camera. She was talking, well, one of the things they were talking about on Monday was the return 15, 16%. So you're alive. And so we want to make sure that our young people, especially the young adults, are really engaged in that. I mean, she impressed me when she was talking about the S&P 500. And I know some people are like, well, what is that?
I'm still learning.
You know, Standard & Poor's, y'all. I know the financial people know that. And getting jobs with wealth management firms on Wall Street is really something to see as we kind of help this next generation expand and diversify.
It's an interactive conversation. We want to hear from you, and then we're going to give you what you need to be able to make it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I want to, because we were talking about young people, is committed to having some of their local Atlanta employees go into schools. We're trying to work out a deal under my senior director, Ruth Wilcox, who's around here somewhere to go into some of the charter schools tied to our partnership with Eastlake Foundation, educating where we have volunteers go into after-school programs like Boys and Girls Club, as well as APS. I think so far this year, actually, over 2,500 students have completed that Uplift Atlanta program. Absolutely. So we know we have a good closing couple of sessions for you before we can happens without you. And I know that it was coming on and others away from Atlanta and then had to jump back on a plane real quick and get back to Atlanta. So thank you all for the sacrifice. And
East right now, and some of you will have to return to that. So we really do appreciate you being here.
Absolutely.
And we want everybody, we'll say it ahead of time.
I'm a Queen of Fame. I'm a part of the One MBB initiative.
Everyone get their pictures. Hi. Uh-oh. 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 Take credit for you. And we're all here to find a way to help make life a little better. It's my pleasure to introduce someone who's going to show us goodness and the founder and CEO of Do Good, David Begnaud.
You to help me celebrate the people who made this possible. Because I got to tell you, I go to a lot of events around the country, and this is a first-rate, first-class event. So would you please call and ask me if I would come and do what I believe God put me on this earth to do? In fact, if I can brag for a moment, it was Oprah Winfrey who said to me, when I see you on television, I realize you are doing exactly what God put you on this earth to do. Heart, thank you, where we find the heart in every story. And in order to set the stage for the people I want you to meet, I want to tell you, I have knocked on more doors of mothers whose kids have been killed in a school shooting than I can remember. I have walked across the slabs of, but there was my career and changed what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. When Hurricane Maria ravaged the island of Puerto Rico on September 20th, 2017, I was a guy who knew very little about the island, and about 3 months later, but I left the great island behind the line. In journalism, you may know, we're not allowed to cross that line and impact change or help. I want to do what the rest. And so I went to the bosses at CBS News and I said, I've come with a proposal that you can't say yes to, so I hope you'll love me enough to let me go. Now, she said, this is an experiment side where I can celebrate good stories, impact. I have now founded Do Good, which is a media company launching in January that will have social media channels, a newsletter, a podcast called The Person Who Believed in Me. And we will have live events just like this, and so I am so delighted to be here with you today. Fan favorites from the Atlanta backyard. Not so long ago, a woman named Maria Mendoza went to the... As she looked through the window, she saw a young man working on the fries in the back, and she thought, wait a minute, he's wearing the cap. Well, what happened was, one of the graduates named Michael Baker had left the graduation, was and still is a manager at the Burger King in the Atlanta area. And so we went to the restaurant to pick up dinner. And so there's Maria in the car thinking, what kid does this? And she zeroes in on her phone, records a video and posts it on social media saying, hey, would you help me celebrate this young man? And $230,000 later, good people from everywhere stepped up to help Michael Baker pay to go to college. Good, and welcome Maria Mendoza. For him, it brought, like you, tears to my eyes. And when I heard about what you did, I said, who does that? And that's often how I find the stories that I love to tell. So I want to back up. Graduation has just happened. You're in the drive-through. Take me to that moment.
Well, well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for having us in, I believe it's Tequila or Buford area. And I was like, you know what? I'm craving a Whopper because it's really late. And so we decided to go through the drive-thru because I was like, wait. And I told my husband, do you see him? He's like, what? I'm like, he just graduated and he's working and he's smiling. And I decided to take a quick video without him seeing me because I didn't know how he was going to react by me grabbing my phone and recording him. Yes.
Is because you saw something of yourself in him.
Yes.
Would you tell them what that is?
Yeah, so yeah, when I was younger, we grew up my work. And, behind my smile, there was a need. And a lot of people didn't know about that. And when I saw him smiling, working, I'm like, who smiles and works? And so I felt like there was a need behind his smile as well. And I saw that in me as well. It brought me back to my childhood.
Michael, you had gone, you wanted the discount, which, is it a good discount? So you show up at the Burger King.
Yes.
They were busy.
Yes, sir.
Call somebody else in.
Honestly, because it was like, I've been working since I was 16 in fast food, so I know I'm going to sleep anyway, so.
He was tired.
All right. Close the shift.
You sleep and wake up with hundreds of thousands of views. People saying, where is this kid? We want to help him. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
And it raised over $235,000.
Woo!
Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody,
yes,
okay?
Sir.
For me, for you, okay. What do you want to do with that?
Honestly, put inside of a high-end savings, invest in it, and make the money go even more. Start my own business.
You want to start your own business. All right, so one of the things that I know is you wanted to go into automotive technology,
yes,
right?
Sir.
And you were
interview
Gwinnett Tech, yep.
And they actually got me into the system, into my getting me registered for my classes that day of the interview. They got me a full tour.
Yeah.
So you are now at Gwinnett Tech studying what?
Automotive technology.
Automotive technology. You have about, it's like a year and a half left.
Yes.
And then what do you want to do when you get out?
Really just work and.
Knows America's story. I owe something for what you did for him.
Well, before I answer that question, I want to make public that Mikel said I'm going to have a free mechanic for life.
Good.
Anyway, so the takeaway from this, I think that I learned myself too that night because I didn't know this was going to blow up like the way it did. Like give him a pat on the back that night to be able to bless him. Yeah. Because come on,
tell the audience a little bit about what
we have had a lot of opportunities. My daughter was able to get a $10,000 scholarship from Burger King. Yeah. Somewhere in the audience, and she's going to GSU for neuroscience, and she's been able to meet, doctor, neurologist, neuroscience. Thanks to you, that it's been amazing. That's the best thing I could have taken out of this, and I don't know what Mikel has to say. I think I'm talking too much.
Honestly, I don't know what to say, but just thank you, really.
What I Bride asking us to be here to know each other, build that place, and you got. So, ladies and gentlemen, before I wrap up, I want to sort of issue a call to action and a challenge to all of you. The way for me and storytellers like me to be able to get to celebrate people like them is that you do two things. And then you challenge yourself to say, where can I be a Maria? When can I be a Maria? My heart get Oprah saying that in 1987, a woman in Ann Arbor, Michigan wrote to her and said, Oprah, seeing you be the best of yourself makes me want to be the best of mine. Do more good like they did. And when I see more good, y'all write to me. I'm pretty easy to find. Dear David at cbsnews.com. I'd love people you platform does that too. And so thank you for the invitation. And ladies and gentlemen, would you help me one more time celebrate Michael and Marie? Hope, hope. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. All right, ready?
Coming to a close. Well, you'll be back next year?
Yes.
All right. Well, I want to thank this special lady right here to my right, Miss. They put all this together.
Woohoo!
Years with us? 6th event. So give her a round of applause because she works hard for all of our coaches and partners from around the country. So thank you, Amy, for all the great work you're doing. Edge Factory, we thank them as when we transitioned then we called it the Hope Financial Literacy Year. We were at the New York Stock Exchange in another year before bringing it home here to Atlanta for the last 11 or 12 years. And so Q&A events since we've been here have been the ones producing this great show. So let's give them a round of applause.
Oh, with Lance and the whole, this has been amazing. It has been amazing. Global Forum's annual meeting.
Ladies and gentlemen, has this been a 3-day bonanza of hope or not? We have given you everything we've got. We have poured, team has worked tirelessly for months to deliver excellence to you. I told you to ignore the noise. Question I have to you, buzzards and there's turkeys. Eagles got wings and they fly very high. They're not arrogant, they're not pompous, they're not. You expect everybody to get you. Don't expect everybody to understand you. Don't expect everybody to roll with you. Not like me. Not everybody's going to understand who you are and how you flow. But there's a second kind of bird.
Uh-oh.
That bird is a buzzard.
Give me that jacket.
And buzzards love packs. Buzzards are low altitude birds. Buzzards are always player hate. Experts at what they're against. The chief criticism officer. The chief can't get it done officer. Always telling you what's not possible, what you can't do, where you can't go. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, aren't you? But Dr. King once said that evil has within it its own demise. You don't have to worry about that. I can't guarantee that being good is going to make you, and positive is going to make you a success, but I absolutely guarantee that being negative is going to make you fail. The worst kind of bird, though. The worst kind of bird. All they do is profile. Translation. Trying to be something they are not. A positive role models stabilizes any community. You don't need 100%. You don't need 80%. You don't need 50%. Got Nobel Peace Prize. At its height, most of you were on their hands saying, not my problem, or was against him. 20% of the white community support, and half of that was Jewish. He died chain smoking, overweight, and depressed because he thought he had failed. Things happening in the world. Eagles change the world. You are those eagles, and you are that 5%. But it doesn't matter if I $1 billion invested in our community. Lance Triggs and his team, Kevin Boucher, who you don't see, has produced his entire forum. Kevin, come on out here. Come out, Kevin. If you're close by, Kevin Boucher, come on out. Watching this on the stream, you're going to go out back in this world where people are infecting you with negative energy. Keep the toxicity away from you if you can. No, he produced the whole thing.
Yeah.
The whole thing. So here's the question, and I want you to say it so that heavens can hear you. I want you to say it so God himself or herself can hear you. What kind of bird do you want to be?
No.
No. The Bible suggests be hot or be cold. If you lukewarm, I'll spat you out. Translation, even God is not like mediocrity. I am exhausted. I am done. But I'm still giving you everything I leave here and deposit.
All right.
We'll see you next year, December 1st and December 3rd, 2026.